All right, just took care of 4 baddies and got some food for later. Guys, welcome back. This is Eric here with Iraq Veteran 8888. Today, we're gonna be talking about a really cool little rifle. This is the Henry Survival Rifle. You notice I didn't put the butt pad back on. Not necessary if you're in a survival situation to get the gun into action, just go for it, right? But these are really unique guns, and they've got a really cool history about them. A lot of folks don't realize just how long this gun design has been around. And Henry has done a great job of continuing the tradition of this gun. The gun kind of has a long lineage, and Henry has a history of producing a lot of interesting guns, and some of which have seen military use over the years. You look at like the 1860 they produce as a modern reproduction of the original 1860 Henry rifle. This rifle is no different. This is a Henry Survival, otherwise known as an AR-7 basically. In the early 90s, the patent expired on this gun, and Henry reverse engineered them, started making them. They've produced about 500,000 of these things, so there are definitely a bunch of them out there. You can get them in a black finish, a camo finish. There's a couple of things that they changed around with this gun over the original AR-7. Armalite originally made this gun back in the 60s, late 50s, 60s and everything. And it was a gun that they issued to pilots as a survival option, meant to be lightweight, stowaway, nice and compact like you saw it initially there in the video, and be able to deploy the gun in a relatively quick fashion. And the intended purpose of the gun was a survival unit to kill food if you were shot down as a pilot, or if you needed to relieve an enemy soldier of his firearm. This was meant to be a stopgap way to get into maybe a little bit more firepower. As you guys know, in an airplane, weight is everything. And the more weight that you can cut, the better. And that was one of the initial issues that, well, and it is still an issue. I mean, you want everything on an aircraft as light as possible so that you're reducing the amount of fuel consumption, because it's all a numbers game of the amount of fuel you're going to use when you're in the air in an airplane. You want to shed every single pound you possibly can. This gun weighs 3.5 pounds, so nice and lightweight. The originals were made by Armalite. At some point, you'll have to forgive me, I don't remember the exact dates, but Charter picked up the design. They actually bought the design of the gun from Armalite, and they produced a couple of different versions of this gun. Charter made the Explorer, which is a pistol version of this gun, kind of a crazy Buck Rogers looking sort of gun, almost looks kind of like a Mauser broom handle. They made the AR-7, or basically what their version of the AR-7, and then now we have the Henry. There's a couple of things they did different. The original guns are actually aluminum sleeved with a steel liner, and they did that to reduce weight. One of the things that Henry's done different is theirs is a polymer sleeve. It cuts down on production costs, and it also makes the gun much lighter. But in terms of accuracy, you can see it doesn't really have a problem delivering the goods in the way of accuracy. The barrel nut's just a simple operation in terms of getting it on there. One thing that Henry changed as well is they added an optics rail mount, like a little dovetail mount if you want to add an optic. Now obviously if you run an optic, you're not going to be able to put it back in the stock. That's the only downside. So we're going to be shooting the gun with irons today because we want to shoot it in the way that from a survival situation it would have originally been shot. Another thing they changed, they added this little bit of texture back here on the grip just to give it a little bit more tactile feel if you're wearing gloves and things like that, or if you're in any type of heavy clothing. Another thing that they changed over the original, which I like a lot, is they redesigned the cavity in the rear of the stock to where you can actually have 3 magazines total. So you can have 2 in reserve, 1 in the gun. As you saw, I actually had a live mag locked in the gun, and when I assembled the gun, I didn't bother to put this back on, and I got her straight in there. Now, I wasn't in a gross hurry, but I would imagine with some practice, you could probably slap this gun together pretty quick. We've been getting a lot of requests from you guys to review this type of gun, and they're really cool. You know, the layout of the gun is pretty simple. You've got a basic safety right here that swings forward and back. Rear is safe. Away, danger, is fire. The magazine release is just a small lever located over here. Very, very simple. All right. The charging handle, it actually pops in out of the way, and it just kind of floats. So it just stays there. Pull it out, charge it if you wish. You know, you want to stow it, pop it back in, you're good to go. It's a really, really simple gun, relatively inexpensive rifle. And this is a great option. You know, granted, we're all not going to get in airplanes and go around and do our thing, but It's a great little gun for somebody who just wants a little backpack gun or a survival gun, or maybe a relatively inexpensive .22 rifle for their grandkids to shoot or something like that. We're going to run the gun a little bit more. A few of these magazines that I have here, 2 of them are Henry produced magazines, and this is an older Charter mag, and it appears to be working so far today. So if you have older mags, it seems like they'll work. There are some 15-shot mags out there for this gun, but they're a little bit on the uncommon side. We'll talk a little bit more as we go. Let's shoot the gun. It is a little unwieldy at first, you know, until you get used to it, but, you know, remember, it's a survival gun. It's not meant to be a range plinker, although it can be used for that. I mean, for a barrel that doesn't have a handguard on it or anything like that, and the way that, I mean, you can see that it's a lined, polymer lined barrel that's just hand tied on the barrel nut. Very exceptional accuracy there, okay? I'm gonna load the gun here, real simple. And I've got some help, got Kevin back here helping me top off some mags. You guys probably noticed in some of the previous videos, you'll see Kevin in some of the black powder content. He's always on the channel with us. He's with us full time now. So every now and then you'll see him kind of coming and going and helping us hopefully move this video along a little bit here. All right, we're gonna shoot a few sodas just for fun. A little soda geyser action going on. I could see where that would mess some things up. All right, so some of those lead nose rounds that we were shooting, those are actually just CCI standard velocity. And we've also got an old school pack of just Federal bolt pack 550s, high velocity plated hollow points. Seem to be getting the job done. We're just gonna shoot the gun, have a little fun here. Not a bad group for a little rapid fire action going on. And you got to remember, these things aren't really intended for volume shooting like we're going to be doing here. We're going to be putting quite a few rounds through this gun, but they seem to work well, and it's an excellent option for somebody who just wants a little handy plinking gun or maybe a backpack gun. Nice little group down there, maybe about a 6-inch group at 35 yards. Definitely good enough for liberating a enemy's rifle from him. So remember, a survival gun from the military sense and from the sense that the Air Force originally issued these would have been, you know, hey, got to take a gun from a bad guy and stay in the fight. I got to shoot small game and survive. With good shot placement, the .22 can definitely do quite a few things. The original Charter magazine appears to be working just fine out of the new Henry here. All right, didn't like that. Huh, that was standard velocity. One thing I've noticed about this gun, it really does kind of like hot ammo. You want to run plated ammo that's relatively high velocity. It tends to not like the slower velocity ammunition. I mean, it'll run lead solids, but they got to be kind of on the hot side. So that's just something to consider. You definitely want to run these with hot ammo, and these will not run longs or shorts or sniper subsonics, any of that type of ammo. It has to be a standard length case to eject and work properly. It's a really simple blowback gun, and there's not a whole lot of forgiving effect there. You got to really play around with there. Now, at 75 yards down there, I posted a group maybe about the size, about a 6-inch group. So not too terrible. I mean, just open sights, real kind of crude sights. The rear sight on this gun is just a small peep sight. And it is crudely adjustable. You can loosen this screw back here and you can get a little bit of up and down effect. Maybe just a pinch of side to side. The front sight you can just kind of push over. It requires a little bit of moving, but you can really give it a good strong shove with your thumb and it'll slide right over. And it's meant to be easily adjustable and used in the field without tools. That's kind of the whole reason there. Well, I guess you'd need a tool to turn that screw, but you could figure that out, I'm sure. Okay, not too terrible. It's tending to like the plated ammo a little more. We're going to keep running that. Oh yeah. Probably not what you would want to have in a survival situation, but if it's all you had, where a gun like this excels is the fact that this gun will float. We're going to demonstrate that in just a moment here. I mean, that group right there, I mean, that's kind of close range, not terribly far away. That's like 15 yards. But if you were shooting at a small piece of game, a little rabbit or a critter or something to eat, or if you had to make a real precise shot on a baddie to liberate his gun in a military situation, your life is saved right there. But I'll tell you what, one of the advertised features of these guns, and what's so neat about them, is that when they're assembled like this, if you drop it in the river or something, it's supposed to float. So I'll tell you what, I don't know if you guys have actually ever seen that. I know people talk about it, but I'll tell you what, I'm going to show you that this thing can float, so let's go do that now. All right, guys, I know I'm wearing different clothes. Yes, this is a different day, but we are going to try to make the little Henry float here. The gun's loaded, the safety's on, and what we're trying to do here is just replicate a situation where, oops, you dropped your gun in the water. So the whole thing is the gun is designed to float. Now, granted, the gun is not going to float for days on end, but if you're in a survival situation, you lose it, the gun is supposed to float a pretty good little bit. Hopefully that's a pretty decent demonstration of that. Unfortunately, I don't really have access to a very deep body of water other than the little doggy pool you see here. But let's see if it works. See, the dogs aren't happy, but that's okay. All right, let's see if it functions. Okay. Gun works right out of the water. I'm going to go ahead and take this mag and put it in my pocket. Pop her off. Grab the other mag. Nice. That's just a quick demonstration. Probably not as ideal as I'd like for it to be, but hopefully you get the point. You can see that the little AR-7 here will float just fine. Let's get back to the video now. All right, well, we can see that the Henry is capable of floating, and that's one of the interesting things about the gun that a lot of folks are curious about, is that it will float when it's assembled. Makes it a great option for the boat. I know a lot of folks like to carry a small rifle on the boat just in case you end up stranded somewhere. A lot of us fish in real rural locations, myself included. There's some areas where if we got stuck for a few days, you definitely would like to have a rifle like this to shoot a little game, just in case. It's always nice to have options. And the cost on these guns is reasonable enough where you can have a couple of them laying around, one in a backpack, maybe keep one in your vehicle, keep one in the boat. Great option for that. Henry's made about 500,000 of these things, so they've done a pretty good job of keeping the spirit of the AR-7 alive with the Henry survival here. Another interesting point, a lot of folks don't know, the Israelis use these in some limited numbers too, not the Henrys obviously, but the original Armalites and things. The Israelis were using them to some pretty decent effect. They had some interesting models with some collapsible stocks, a little bit higher capacity magazines. I think some of them even had like slightly shorter barrels, suppressors. Oh wait, suppressor, Tell you what, this might be a really fun gun to do integral suppressed barrel on. I mean, you got the barrel pretty much right there. You could go with a pretty big sleeve. I'm going to look into that, and I'll tell you what, if it can be done, we're going to integral suppress one of these Henrys just for fun. And to me, that's the ultimate, you know, in basically survival gun, is to have it integral suppressed. You know, run some relatively hard-hitting ammo, get some decent velocity, and run it. Only thing is, I guess you would have to open up. You could probably get in there and open this stock up a little bit to where you could put the suppressed barrel back in there, but that's another story for another time. I'm going to shoot some sodas here just because we can. And we got some of this plated federal ammo. This stuff should be spanking out of here pretty quick. Remember, these things like high velocity ammo. All right, more sodas, just because we can. Uh-oh. Oh, she didn't like that. Ha! Well then. Not bad. Another thing that I didn't really have an opportunity to mention about this gun that's pretty unique. Eric, really? Had a failure to feed there. I think I was playing around a little bit here. One thing I didn't mention is that when the action is in the stock, it does favor the right side of the stock a little bit. And it's perfect for a right-handed shooter. If you're a left-handed shooter, I would consider before you buy one of these, you might want to kind of check it out and make sure it's for you, because the action does favor the right side of the axis of the stock a bit. So some left-handed shooters might have a little bit of difficulty with that. The ejection's not going to bother you because it's pretty far forward of the action. Just something to consider. I'm going to shut up and shoot here. Finish out these sodas. Not bad. And she's starting to get a little dirty. Not too shabby. And guys, remember, this gun is not really intended to be like a, hey, let's go out and shoot all day kind of gun. We are putting probably an abnormal amount of rounds through this gun than your average person likely would. But why not, right? And just to note, the magazine that failed just now was the Charter magazine. So I'm running the 2 Henry mags now. Let's see if these work with 100% reliability. Your mileage might vary on that. I'm going to shoot a little group here. I mean, for the way this barrel's mounted, that is very exceptional accuracy. For a nice lightweight little unit, remember these things weigh about 3.5 pounds, so a nice lightweight gun. I think you guys can pretty much see the beauty of this little gun. A lot of folks have been asking us to do a video on this particular rifle, and we've shown these off quite a bit in some of our previous videos, so we thought it would be appropriate to get out and do a video on the little survival gun. I think you guys can see that it's capable of some pretty decent feats of accuracy. I got a few rounds here. I'm going to finish out the last 2 mags. I'm going to try to shoot the soda just that's hanging in the bottom of these soda bottles here just for fun. Well, it ain't having it. I mean, if you do your part, this thing will really shoot. All right, last mag. Little Henry mags are working good there. Oh yeah, not bad. Not bad at all. I'd love to find some 15-shot mags for these things. I don't know really how they would run or whatever, but definitely a neat gun. Guys, I want to thank you today for watching this video. We had a lot of fun making it. These guns are ridiculous fun to shoot, and they're reasonably priced. That's kind of one of the nice things that I like about them. They're not overly expensive. They are an improvement over the original gun, which is kind of a nice feature. They kind of took the whole concept and went full circle with it, which I think is really why the gun's been so popular with Henry. You know, they produced 500,000 units, and generally any dealer that carries Henry rifles, chances are they're probably gonna have a few of these laying around, because this is one of the most affordable Henrys out there. You know, obviously you can get into some of the pump actions and the lever actions and things like that. They do get a little bit more expensive, but this is a great entry-level Henry and a great survival option. There are other options out there that we'll probably be covering in a future video. I mean, like back in the day, the Germans used to issue like drilling rifles that were in some like over and under with like a 12 gauge and a rifle. It's also been known that some countries issued, even we issued like over and under guns, like a 410 and 22. So you have like a shotgun option. So there are other options for a survival gun, but none that I really know of that fit the role as well as this, especially in an aquatic environment where the gun might fall overboard or something, or if you're in a plane, you have a water landing, you want to know that maybe if the plane goes down, the gun's going to float. The gun has its place and everything. So guys, thank you so much. We'll see you next time. More on the way.